Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Tarot for Our Times. I'm Sarah, your medium on the go, and the big hot story that's been going all over the internet and seems that there could be some credibility is that whole thing with Trump and Russia spy thing. Just to give you a little bit of a background, on this. Apparently, according to, and of course, the reading I do this on this is for entertainment purposes only. But it seems going back into 1977 when he married Ivana, who is a Czech model. The Czech intelligence was kind of checking him out, and they were in cooperation with, back then it was the last years of the Soviet Union. So he and his bride visited Russia in 1987, and what apparently, according to the story, is that they flattered him and told him he was wonderful, that he could go into politics, and this was all done by the KGB. Now, he was known to them as Krasnov, and this allegation comes from Alnor. Oh, let's see if I can pronounce this. Alnor Musayev, who was a KGB agent, and they liked he apparently started going over to Russia for some real estate deals, but it was more than that. And apparently, and I guess Putin was a big shot in the KGB, they were looking to recruit big time American businessmen with lots of connections. So, and probably some that weren't too bright in a lot of ways. So of course he would be a big target for that. And apparently he's supposed to still have a KGB file. And good old Scaramucci, the mooch who used to work for him, has also said that he finds that he's kind of suspicious. So if this is true, this is not all very surprising because of how he just gives Putin a pass on everything. And that vote in the UN today, when can't even say my country, it's too embarrassing, voted at the UN along with every dictator in the world except China. They just abstained, which I guess in dictator land that was probably the smartest thing to do. Like, whoa, I'm not getting involved in this. So the UN resolution did pass to condemn Russia for invading Ukraine. Oh, excuse me. And and the fact that the United States, I can't even say we, but the United States voted no with those others, that's got to make you wonder too. I mean, that really has to make you wonder. So I'm going to see what the cards have to say about all of this. And I'm going to do a read on the title of this is Russian Seduction. Did Putin get a spy who loved him? So I want to talk about the seduction. And I would say that if that's how they recruited him with the flattery, boy, that doesn't get any more seduction than that. And to see if he was recruited as a spy, or maybe on what level. Now, I did give a theory, I believe in my last video, that had he been recruited, it would have been in an inadvertent way where they just kind of sucked information out of him without him going into files with little cameras and stuff like that. So we're going to see that. That was kind of my first don't want to get rid of my notes. That was my first intuitive hit. So the focal card is the Empress, which for many of us has been Mother Russia. And in the thumbnail, of course, I have Putin as the face of the woman. And then I have Boris and Natasha, which, if all those you were old enough to remember, that was a little side thing on the Bullwinkle, Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon show, which was popular at the height of the Cold War. So, at any rate, this is a very intriguing story. I would say the fact that it's all over the internet, and I mean, I wouldn't want to give him credit for anything, but this has to be investigated just to see if it's true. If it isn't true and he's just been a jerk and just siding with, that's one thing. But I think this sounds serious enough that we really have to look into it. So I will be, I was looking for this deck. I believe it's called the Llewellyn Tarot. It was one of my early decks, and for some reason I put it away and I couldn't find it for the longest time until I looked for something else, and then I found it. Okay, so I'm going to use this in the usual weight rider for the clarification fill-in or whatever I feel like doing. So let us see the seduction, which apparently might have started beginning before 87, since he was in Czechoslovakia and all this sort of thing. So I have been shuffling. So what we're gonna, this one flew out. What this flew out, the Magician. The Magician. I think I'm gonna use this as the base card, since I'm one of those cards fly out of the deck for a reason. So, and they are nicely, very nicely illustrated. So the Magician. I'm going to say that if in the light of the seduction, they flattered him to death, probably telling him there wasn't anything he couldn't do. So we have that. And then we have, as the energy, is the Six of Pentacles in reverse, and that is the couple of things. Well, you can think I'm being generous, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. So I'm going to say they probably wined and dined the hell out of him. I would also say that maybe this could be charities were used for money laundering too. Those things kind of tie in. So we have that going, surprise, surprise. That energy going along with it. So let's see, underneath all of this, Mr. Charmboy, the Knight of Cups. Someone, it could have been some, this is for entertainment purposes only, that there could have been some very, very big time flattery and telling he was just such hot stuff, beautiful hair, this and that, the brilliant businessman. So I would say it began with the flattery, which is the message of the Knight of Cups. Then we have, I'm going to say, with the Five of Cups, coming a little bit more into the future when the writing was on the wall and the fall of the Soviet Union. I'm going to say that the oligarchs probably liked that instead of being corrupt communists, they could be corrupt capitalists, but that meant that the whole system had to change. There were regrets. So in the light of the capitalist thing, they needed to find capitalists to do their dirty work. So I'm going to say that there was a feeling of loss over the loss of the old regime. And I developed a theory. Communism, capitalism, it's all BS. It was never really about that. It's just window dressing. It's just authoritarianism with a different name. That's all it is. I don't think that Karl Marx ever actually had in mind what went on in Russia. And a lot of people from the turn of the century, the 20th century, that went to Russia because they thought that would be their workers' paradise, became disillusioned. And if you saw the movie Reds with Warren Beatty and all those, it does go into that, how the woman who played Emma Goldman goes to Russia, and they visit her and she's very disillusioned. So this is kind of what this is all about, is that disillusionment. Oh, and here we go. This is the criminal enterprise. This is, if you've seen The Godfather, this is the Corleone family. And this is kind of like that. They must have, I mean, when the fall of the Soviet, when even before the fall of the Soviet Union, I can remember living in Brooklyn when the Russian mob just, when I lived in New York, and I noticed in Brooklyn that the Russian mob had really taken it over. Brighton Beach and Coney Island, they changed, and they kind of started to eclipse by the mid 1980s. They were eclipsing the Italian mobs and the Colombians and all those people. So then they had the Deutsche Bank, put the pieces together. So they had the Deutsche Bank in Brooklyn to launder their money. Trump was connected with that. I mean, you could put the pieces of the puzzle together. That was in the 80s. So, and he had the real estate to launder the money. So I can understand this was the setup, and he was the perfect patsy to do their work for them. I also want to say that in this card with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, I am sure that they financed a lot of his stuff, and now it's time to pay the piper, but not with money. It's with the favors. So let's see. The opposition of this is the Two of Swords. I would say that he basically kind of knew probably what was going on, but preferred to keep the blindfold on. And he had made the decision. He might have even got through, oh, I can't do this to my country, yada, yada, yada. But he knew he had made his choice, but he still kept the blindfold on. I can't believe how these cards are telling the tale. So he chose to keep the blindfold on to tell himself that, no, these are not mobsters. And, face it, that whole government of Russia is nothing but a whole mob thing anyway. So this is very interesting. So this looks like this is very much of the setup. So I'm going to put another card here for the past. Okay, the Eight of Swords in reverse. I'm going to say part of the thing, this is very interesting. Back in the 80s, and I do remember this from living in New York, I remember when the casinos started to flop, Atlantic City wasn't what he had hoped it would turn out to be. All this stuff was going on, plus he wasn't exactly the toast of cafe society, all of this sort of thing. So I think the Russians probably said, oh, you're not the victim. Don't be the victim. It's all those other nasty people, these nasty people in America. It's all their fault. So, don't feel sorry for yourself. We've got your back. Yeah, at the same time, they encouraged him to bring that victimhood out when it could be useful. So let's see. What were he says the seductee, what were his conscious thoughts? And they were, I'd say the Four of Cups, weighing his options, and the three are kind of sped up because that's when because of failed businesses that I guess it continued into the 90s, and that's when he got that stupid TV show. So I guess he felt like he saw the writing on the wall, and what the Russians had as this fourth cup kind of flew into the scene. And so he thought, well, I will extend my business opportunities over there. And then we have the subconscious thoughts of, oh, this comes up so much in readings about him. And the Six of Cups in reverse. I think this is when they're feeding him this BS, and this is on a very subconscious level, maybe knowing he had a rotten childhood with a rotten father, yet he was spoiled to death. Very complicated thing. But I think that they knew a lot about him and probably tried to convince him that his past was so wonderful because he was rich, and they probably tapped into his racism and thought, planted the seeds of make America great again. Let's take it back to the good old days when it was nice and white and all of that sort of thing. And probably, I would imagine that with their anti-Semitism and the whole thing, meeting up with him and his anti-Semitism and racism, boy, they had a real end. But this is the very subconscious. Of course, they're not going to say overtly, be a racist, and because then they have to admit they are too. So the subconscious thing was the dog whistles. Okay, so this is really kind of interesting. So let's see. Going into the present now with them. They got him. They got all his weaknesses. But but the thing is that they continue to flatter him and tell him how strong he is, but yet they have tapped into so many of his weaknesses that they've zapped all the strength out of him, but they've given him a false sense of strength. And everybody talked about, like, ooh, what does Putin have on him, like all the sex and the PP tapes and all of this. And I'm starting to think possible, but even if that's true for entertainment purposes only, that was only part of the picture. I'm thinking, yeah, that's either part or none of the picture. So if Vladdy Poo has something on him, it's all of this stuff that he has done that's been, let's say, in the interest of Russia and not so much in the interest of the United States. So to go a little bit deeper into this, I'm going to add something here, and it's like how he, throughout this, how he saw himself and how they saw him. Okay, so how he saw himself is, I'm getting used to the queen, how he saw himself was the Queen of Swords in reverse. This has a lot to do with the hostile feelings that he has towards women, and that he really does hate women, and how he probably thinks they're a bunch of liars and this and that, and probably again, it's not his fault, it's his mother, I guess. So we have the Queen of Swords in reverse, is how he sees himself. It's never his fault. And this goes to I'm going to say this goes to the E. Jean Carroll and all the judges, and they're nothing but, of course, he did things that where he had to go to the court system. And often this Queen of Swords is either lawyers and judges in the tarot. So, how he sees himself is that they're all bad and they're all liars, but he is the truth. And total narcissist. How they see him, this is very interesting. The two of Wands in reverse. So this is kind of like the foreign intrigue sort of thing of that so much of this stuff that began with him really began overseas, and they could see this in him. I think that I have to say that if it's true, I mean, he would have been such an easy mark to recruit. They took their time about it, but they probably, if this is true, they probably thought he was the biggest piece of cake. So what they thought is let the idiot think he has the world in his hands. But I would say that they don't think much on him about him except that he was a perfect mark for this. So we got that sort of thing going, and all of this stuff they fed him. I would say, I'm almost going to say, I'd find it hard to believe that they didn't. But whether he knows what he has, the full extent of what he has done, that remains to be seen. And we're going to go to the hopes and the fears. Okay. Okay, the hope is, I would say for him, is kind of walking away from all the problems he's had, because all of this intrigue and his failures, and now the country is turning against him. He kind of wants to walk away from it and play golf. But on the other hand, he kind of fears that with all of this stuff kind of closing in on him, he's pretty much afraid to walk away and not know what's going on. So I have to say that in these instances, that yep, he's not in the greatest place, but I think that's why he's doing a lot of his business at Mar-a-Lago, so he can play golf and that sort of thing, but have all of these people close to him. So let's see what's going to be happening with it, because this is caught on like wildfire. And I've seen other. I think I saw the twins, Gary and David, do a reading about this, and I think, let's see what I come up with. Usually, I don't like to do that too much the same as the others, but I thought, well, let's see what I come up with. I'm kind of coming up with what they did, but with different cards. Okay, here we have again. In the near future, it's the Six of Pentacles in reverse. It's kind of like, really, it's time for you to pay up. And that UN thing today, he picked someone that was going to vote nay on that. And so that's it. But I'm going to say that you have to wonder if all of this stuff with having his band of muskrats, robbing us blind and taking God knows what, if this is part of funneling money back to Russia and at least trying to help them out with the Ukraine thing. So let's see how this is going to play. I think there's going to be some you-know-what hitting the fan. I really do. And this could be part of it. So we have the Empress in reverse now, which means that he may be getting so crazy that they may be getting a little bit nervous about him letting them know about, because he never seems to do it on purpose. He just can't keep his mouth shut. I would say that that's the problem, and maybe they were kind of in denial because, oh my God, it would be so much trouble to go groom somebody else to be an asset. I guess that's a euphemism or sort of a spy light or something like that, which I think that may be more of what it is. But I think they're having a little case of the nerves, because they realize they may not be able to control him. That's a really big thing. So I always thought that he's going to really need to watch his back and watch who he takes drinks from, and not stand near any windows too far up in Trump Tower. So this is in the future, like when they see no more use for him, and the mother Russia that he never had, could be just saying, well, we got to do something. It's kind of like the natural thing, the kind of thing. So let's see. I want to do a conclusion. So what in conclusion? Oh boy. Okay. Ace of Cups in reverse is, see, this is another reason why they're nervous, is that his emotional state isn't too great. And he always goes through these meltdowns with the throwing the ketchup bottles and all this kind of stuff. There could be a big one. This could be the time when we find out, has he been abusing Adderall and amphetamines? Is he as bad as the muskrat? I mean, because this could come out if, in fact, for entertainment purposes only, all that stuff they've said, those rumors about him and drug use is true. That's when he becomes a real danger to them. So I think that puts him in danger. These two together, that really puts him in danger. So I'm going to say what the lesson from all of this is: judgment. I think that in reverse, judgment in reverse, which is one of our theme cards in reverse, is that it's his fear of being judged badly, which is well founded, because this could turn out that he could be judged very, very badly, and that, of course, the lesson that for him to learn is that he never learns his lesson. So I do have to say that these cards are telling me that it's really possible. It's really. Now, I think in the next part was let's see what it means, and which would go to, well, if this is true, what are we going to do about it? I mean, that's going to be the really big question. And if this and I was reading, were there other KGB people who seem to think that yes, he is Krasnov, that he is the agent Krasnov, and I don't know if he's going around thinking he's kind of like playing a role and he's some kind of Russian James Bond. I'll tell you this. I don't think he's a Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald was very much caught up in the idealism of communism. That was his thing, and he was, and I think he may have been a pawn for other sources, but that would be a whole other reading about that. But he's just not like Lee Harvey Oswald ideological. I think he probably could have been sucked into it. And come on, all those documents at Mar-a-Lago and all over the place. I mean, if this were a different decade or the last century, that guy's behind would have been in jail years ago, and he would be serving out a sentence. I mean, this is a capital offense. I don't like to go there for death sentences, but I mean, this would have been throw away the key stuff a number of years ago had there been an investigation. I mean, just for those documents, what is it? I mean, I don't know. It's almost seeming like, why wouldn't he be? It's all the fingers pointing. So let's see. What does this mean to us? I shudder to think. And, and actually, if he's going to be found out. So let's see if I can do this in one fell swoop, or with that, I might have to do a real quickie on whether he'll be found out. Hopefully it will kind of tie in with this. Okay, these are shuffled to death. Okay. So we have follow the money. I mean, I'm telling you, as long as I've been doing these political, and you want to find it out, follow the money. The Ten of Pentacles in a reverse. This is interesting because we had the Ten of Pentacles come up in the last reading, but that was the family, the corrupt family. This Ten of Pentacles in reverse is, I'm going to say, it's the spoils of the crime family, and it's pretty much, I'm seeing that it's money laundering. This is putting it in the chest. It's in the chest. It comes out of the chest. It gets laundered. It gets put back in the chest. So I'm going to say that what this has meant is money laundering, and I'm going to say I feel as though that it's that shady crypto stuff, which I think is kind of bonkers, crossed with the energy of the Knight of Swords in reverse. So the Knight of Swords in reverse is all about really riding towards a disaster, not being able to keep one's mouth shut and just moving way too fast. So I'm going to say if there is any investigation going on, of course it wouldn't be by this Justice Department. I'm kind of agreeing with some of the readers that there may be some dark ops of some very inner working of some intelligence agencies that Tulsi jerk off person isn't. I think a lot of the heads of these departments, these secretaries in the cabinet, they're just so incompetent that I think that's very easy that there could be a whole shadow thing going on underneath. So I think there are people looking into this, and part of it is he can't keep his mouth shut. I mean, this is the energy of it. I mean, he's practically admitted that the election was a fraud and all this stuff. Here we go. Here we go. What could be the unfolding is his declining emotional and mental state. And if he is doing that Adderall stuff, and it's a little bit in the past, which means this could be building up for a long time. So this could be revealing itself through that. Okay, so, and, oh boy, here we have Temperance in reverse, which means totally imbalanced. Any kind of intuitive abilities that he had to do whatever he did in business. And I will say it's probably been more for getting out of the legal problems than anything else. This also points to substance abuse too. That there could be, and it's not drinking, but I'm going to say prescription drugs. When I saw him on that debate with Biden, I could swear someone had devised the perfect cocktail because he didn't sundown. He kind of stayed on topic the best he could, but yet they mixed it which was a little bit of the upper. Then they had something so he wouldn't go off the rails. I thought that was not natural. That's not, so God knows what's happening. And there could be the steroids left over from his COVID. Okay. This is very interesting. What is going to happen that could open this up is the infighting that's going on right now. And it's, as I've said in previous readings, it's the infighting of the MAGA and the tech bros, but I'm going to say it goes beyond that. This is a bit in the future. I'm going to say that I see his cabinet members clashing. It's already begun with the Muskrat, who demanded to people with those ridiculous emails, and both Kash Patel and that whatever that drinking dude is with the Secretary of Defense, they said, no, we handle our own disciplinary thing, and we're going to tell them not to answer them. So that's going to cause a big fight. So not only that, but the next thing is that the cabinet members will be quarreling amongst themselves. So I'm going to say that this is building up to be a recipe for exposure of this. So let's see. In the opposition, we have the King of Wands in reverse. And I am starting to go with some of the other readers, seeing this as the muskrat, but this is the real muskrat in reverse. The guy has all these baby mamas and all this stuff, and he's like really cruel, and he's abusing ketamine and all of this stuff. So we've got him. Really, he would be the one who would be maybe trying to keep a lid on all this stuff with the Russians, which is telling me he may be involved in it, but they don't have enough on him yet about that. But his role would be to do damage control, keep it under wraps, and he's in no way capable of doing that. So this could be a contributing factor. So let's see in the past with this. Okay, I'm going to say there's someone somewhere in the intelligence network he put a few things together, and the light bulb, that actually does look like a light bulb. The light bulb went off, and I think that's where some of the digging has begun. If there's any suspicions or even independent, I mean, there could be some independent people looking into this, but I'm going to say, even though this is recent on the internet, these suspicions are far from being new, because how long ago did Scaramucci work? That was a while. That was way back, and he said he saw the sign. So you put all of that together, and there are people looking into it. Even if, if even it's either in the, really deep in the CIA, or else it could be a private thing. Boy, wouldn't that be the irony if he gets brought down by a private enterprise? That kind of... Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands here. I'm going to say that this is someone that maybe we don't know about. Maybe she's that mystery woman that I'm going to say maybe could be instrumental in, okay, I'm getting a little movie-esque, but possibly a double agent. Because I think the one thing that they would use with him would be women to flatter him, and you know what else. So that's quite possible. That I hadn't thought of that. I thought, let's not go too far into the movies. But hey, that could be very possible that there could be a double agent. Really interesting. This is getting more intriguing. So let's see. In the conscious thoughts. The conscious thoughts now is bring it out in the open. Let's shine the light on it. It's about time. I would say people that have suspected it say it's time for us to shine the light on it and bring out the truth. So that's going on in the conscious level. Let's go underneath to the subconscious. So we've got the Page of Cups. Page of Pentacles in reverse. So I'm going to say that underneath there's some new knowledge, or some knowledge of money that they can't quite put their finger on. And that this has been the underlying driving force in investigating or looking into it, or raising enough suspicion. So they're kind of waiting for that really new crucial piece of evidence, which hasn't come up, because they're ready to shine the light on it. But that's been an underlying force in this. So I'm going to say in the present we have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. So I'm going to say that I think there are people that know something and they've been really hanging on to it because you need a lot. This is serious stuff. You really need a lot of proof. I'm saying, seeing this in reverse, I think someone's ready to spill out a little evidence, but I'm kind of seeing it as somewhat, not the whole ball of wax, but someone that may be leaking something to the media with one piece of really juicy evidence that may cause others to be digging, because a lot of times, when I remember with Watergate, the press, the reporters, the journalists, they were the ones that they really did the work, basically, but they didn't need their people. So someone that's been holding on to something, there might be a little bit of a leak, and I'm saying that maybe that's in the works now that could be happening. So this is interesting. So we're going to see, okay, what do for those that are suspicious, what do they think of themselves in this investigation? Queen of Swords. We're looking for the truth. We're looking for the truth, and the truth will come out. And again, I'm feeling that this could be, another aspect of this woman. Okay, so that's what they're saying, that the truth is right. So what do other people think of this whole thing, and people looking into it? So they think the death card has come up, which means that it means that it's the death of something and the rebirth of something else. So maybe people are thinking that this is too far. This administration needs to go, and we really need to start with something new. That I think this is like they're freaking out. Like whenever this card turns up in a reading and people go, and they freak out. I think that's what people are thinking. If it's more of this stuff comes to light, that yes, it's looking more possible that he has been a Russian asset. I think we can't avoid this any longer. And it is a scary thing, like this picture in the card is a scary thing, but it's time to end this. And I would say this is something that could possibly end this administration and everybody in it before the 4 years is up. This could be a very strong factor. So let's see what's going to happen in the near future. This guy coming up again is the search of someone to maybe that there's somewhat, yes, that we do have our Russian spies in jail. Some of them have been used to in exchange for Americans arrested in Russia. But I'm going to say that there could be a bargaining thing that if you want to get a lighter sentence or this or that maybe you need to start to someone getting ready to call for the guard and bring in the people and tell them what is going on. So there could be that angle as well too. I'm going to say there's a whole lot going on that we are not being told about publicly. And I will say I suspect that before it comes from cable news or any of that sort of thing, I think it's going to be broken out on like the YouTube Midas Touch and all these other things that not in the mainstream. I think the mainstream they're going to freak out and maybe not want to feel like they're holding a hot coal in their hand. So further down the line, the star in reverse, which is I'm going to say that I in this instance and others is that a lot of people see this as the United States. So in one meaning, what seeing this in reverse is saying this represents who we're not supposed to be. That we're not that great big shining whatever on the hill. And taking a look at that this is not what we're, and the whole world is seeing us in that way. And if this is true, that'll be even more. But I will say that it's also, there's a double meaning that it represents that the whatever he and his others have been trying to manifest. And I'm going to say it's not so much of an allegiance to another country or ideology. It's about the money. Pentacles have been all over the place in both of these spreads. It's about the money, and it's about not having this whole thing revealed. So I'm going to say that that can really put a damper on the law of attraction with these people that have really been getting away with stuff for so long. And let's see what the outcome of this is. Wowie. They're going to find that there's going to be a lot of things coming at them. It could be law enforcement. It could be the news reporting and the pressure. It could be Congress is going to, if it doesn't flip in the next couple years, or if it does flip, it's going to be Congress coming at them. If it doesn't, they're getting so much pressure from the constituents with those town halls. They're not going to have any choice but to think of impeaching him. I mean, everybody is turning against him. I think that even if this isn't proved beyond a reasonable doubt, there's going to be enough here that no one is ever going to be able to trust. Is he or isn't he? And what secrets has he, how has he really compromised national security? I think it's a bell that will not be able to be unrung. So there he is, and anybody else involved with the back up against the wall. So the outcome is the Seven of Cups. And this is about, I'm seeing that more on his side, because this kind of goes hand in hand with this, is going into the fantasy world and the smoke screen. And I have to ask with another card, and telling all the lies and throwing up the smoke screen. Are people going to buy it this time? So let's see what the cards say. Oh, the Wheel of Fortune means that karma is coming. There's only so many times someone can do this. Karma is definitely coming. And one more that says, we've got the Tower in reverse. But I think this is, in this case, this is the Tower on steroids. This is like the culmination. We have been going from one crisis to another. Now we have to decide, are we going to just give this guy a pass again and see if it works out? We can see already with his policy that no, it hasn't been working out. But at this point, this is going to be the crucial step. This is going to be so up in people's faces that if they do, then they live in more denial than a room full of alcoholics and addicts. But I think what this said, the Wheel of Fortune is saying that enough is enough. It's about time for karma. And you people have been going from one tower to another. So you're at the point now where you have to decide, can I take another tower? So let's see what we have learned from this. The World. Time to end the cycle. It's done. It's over. I'm going to say it was probably over before the election, but some people are too dense that they have to have it real. And this is the Tower in reverse too. This is another Tower in reverse, meaning is that it has to get so bad that I mean, it just has to get, I mean, really awful for people to finally get it. And some people have been saying that's the big spiritual lesson, is that no, we haven't had quite enough. We have to have him with one more round. But I'm going to say that the whole Russia involvement thing is like, for years people have, but they have, rationalized this stuff away. But I think in this instance, if they do, then they're really like beyond stupid. But they'll try again. But I'm going to say there are going to be fewer left. And I'm going to also say that these cups represent the Kool-Aid. And it's out there for you to drink and believe the illusion and go down the sewer with it. Or else you can see the light that's shining on them and saying, oh no, he's not doing that again. So I would say that it looks, and as I say, this is for entertainment only. And who knows in what. I think that everything's been moving fast. I think that we could be finding out about this fast. It looks as though it could come in the form with wands. There's with wands and swords and things. That is communication. So it could be coming. And these, we have, this communication, all this sort of thing. The muskrat trying to suppress communication through blocking people on his stupid platform. But I think that it's going to come out in communication on the internet, and it's going to leave the law enforcement agencies with no choice but to have to do a real investigation on this. They may have to do this without the approval of their leaders, but it's really looking bad. And it would look bad if they try to suppress it. Then everybody's going to say, what are they trying to hide? If they didn't think this was true, they'd want to put it all out there. So I'm going to say this is, whether it's entirely true or not, I think the rumors of it, because it is believable, are going to do him a lot of harm. But I think that on the other hand, we really do need to know. We really do need to know if we've had a real bona fide, I hate to say the T word, traitor in our midst. So at any rate, I do think that this is going to get some traction with everything else that's going on. So, and I will be following up as this news breaks. So, I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.